Okay, so this part of the video walkthrough is about the paintings and the titles and basically the story behind my paintings that I made. When you look at them, they're pretty brightly colored flowers, and I chose that for a reason. I wanted it to be cheerful, even though the beginning or the backstory for my collection is not really cheerful. The reason for that is not because I'm just being kind of, I guess some people call it toxic positivity, like you're positive about everything as if everything is good, when from what I believe, everything is not always good. But I want to try to find hopefulness, or I want to make hopeful art that reflects like hopefulness. And so that's how this collection started. Like I said, this is the first one. It's called New Beginnings. What happened was, after my grandmother passed away, I had, before she had passed away, I had decided like I wasn't gonna grow any flowers this year. I usually grow flowers in my container garden every year, but I decided not to this year. I was really tired with everything that I was going through, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that this year because it takes a lot of effort and for me, and I was just not really wanting to invest in that. But because growing flowers and plants, taking care of plants and things like that was a big part of my relationship with my grandmother, because she was she lived in the country, and she really enjoyed like growing plants and different, like she even grew like a pomegranate tree or something. It was really cool. Oh, and she had a fig tree and everything. It was really cool. But anyway, we kind of had that together. Like we would talk about, the plants that we were gonna grow or try this year and things like that. So anyway, um, after that happened, I came back home and I decided that I wanted to grow some flowers, you know, in honor of my grandma. And I didn't grow them from seeds, I got them at the nursery. And so that's why I called this one New Beginnings, because it was not because my plants look like this, but because it was inspired by that, or I don't know if inspired is the right word, but that's how it all started. Okay, so it was like not a happy thing why I called it New Beginnings, but because I was starting from a place of loss, but I wanted to keep going, and it was one of the ways that I could express myself. So that's why I made this one represent something about that story of what I've been going through over the summer. So let's see. This next one is called A Fresh Start. Okay, so you can see that one. And they're all like a similar color palette. The next two in the collection are Planting Flowers for Her, which represents like planting flowers for my grandma's memory and because it was something that we enjoyed to do together. And I called this one Make It Cheerful because I was thinking about my mom, because um, I wanted to have flowers at our house so that like when she was coming and going, I just think when you're coming and going to your house, I think they call it like curb appeal, when you see a nice kept doorway and you have flowers or plants, even if they're fake flowers or plants, it just makes it seem more cheerful. And so I wanted to do that for her too. It just represents, or I don't know if represents is the right word, but I was just thinking of that when I named these paintings because that was what I wanted to focus on. And so that's why I call this one Make It Cheerful, because it represents that. These two paintings are on wood panel also, and they're called Beauty and Life and Encourage and Hope. And after such a hard time, I wanted to focus on seeing beauty in life, and the when I look at the plants or the flowers or the nature and how it perseveres over time, I just thought of encourage and hope. And so that's why I named those paintings. Or a new song and a sunny day. Now that sounds kind of awkward, but because of the situation, but bear with me. When I was naming these, actually, I had named my other paintings, and these two were the last to be named, even though I think there's 14 in this collection so far, and these two were the last to be named. And those names just naturally just came to me as I was going through my work, reviewing it, and I was thinking, man, these two, I don't even know what to name these two, like, because I was thinking through the names that I had given and why and what was all going on and what was the backstory of how I was creating these. And the names that came to me were A New Song and A Sunny Day. It just worked because, like I said, I was trying to make paintings that not just reflect, like, sometimes people like they make paintings to reflect the feelings that they're going through, and if it's like a dark feeling, then they paint like super dark stuff. But I just have something inside myself that's like, yes, that's real, and that's really what I'm going through. But I still want to instead focus on painting what I want to see and not what is actually, what I might be going through, but to focus on like maybe a future hope, something that can keep me going, and keep other people going that see my artwork. I don't, even though I could just go out and paint like all the dark things that you see in the world. Well, yeah, that's real and it's true. However, like I want to focus on creating artwork that looks to something better. And so the names New Song and A Sunny Day were what came to me for these two paintings. So moving on to the smaller paintings on canvas panel. This one here is called Sowing Season. This one is Learning to Grow Pretty Flowers, and this one is called Morning Dew. Now, sowing season is because when I came home, it was what, really mid summer, I guess. And typically, I think it's kind of late to be planting things. I had no idea. I was thinking, oh, gee whiz, it's too late to plant these. It's super hot. I don't know if they're gonna grow. I might plant them and they might just wilt right away because it's super hot outside. So that's why I called this one sowing season, because I was thinking about that. And then learning to grow pretty flowers was because I had got, I think it was two types of plants that I had never grown before, and I had to learn how to take care of them during such a hot season. Was the lily turf, the sedum, and the begonias and pink begonias. And so that's what learning to grow pretty flowers. That's where I got that name from. And morning dew, I named that obviously because of the natural way that plants get watered sometimes, and So yeah, those are those three small paintings. Okay, so these are the last small paintings for this collection, and they're on canvas panel. This one is called Fresh Cut. This one is It's Still Blooming, and this one is End of Summer Flowers. And Fresh Cut was because I was cutting the flowers and using them to decorate I put them in little vases, and I sometimes cut them to use as reference to draw and sketch. So that's why I named that one. And It's Still Blooming because it got super hot, and oh my goodness, the flowers looked like they were just definitely not gonna make it. But we got a really heavy rain that the plants really needed, and I was so surprised that they just perked right up and they bloomed right out. Like, it was just amazing. Bloomed out even better than before, actually. That was really weird. But anyway, that's that one and the story behind that one. And then this one is End of Summer Flowers. And I gave it that name because it reminds me of the flowers that grew, that I sowed or that I planted and grew in containers all through summer and even into autumn. They're still growing, some of them, and they still have lots of blooms on them, and they just really bring a lot of cheerfulness to the doorway. And I just love seeing them grow in the little containers, and even the new ones that I had never grown before are still they're still growing and blooming, and it's almost November. So that's kind of amazing that I didn't even know if they were going to make it through the summer because it was just so hot. But they did, and they're still blooming out there. So that's the name of that one, End of Summer Flowers. I hope you liked seeing the walkthrough and also hearing me tell, the story behind my paintings. I don't always tell like the story behind what I work on in my artwork. I just kind of put it out there and I tell a little bit, but not much. But this time I felt like I want to get better at telling people how I create my work, why I create my work, and what motivates me or inspires me, and just how it develops. I thank you so much for your time, and I thank you for watching, and I hope you liked hearing that and seeing the paintings. More information about the paintings in the collection will be on the website page, and I'll see you next time.